what to do when you're up against health scares. And so she, and of course, then we get scared. So I totally know what you're saying, Tatiana. It really is a thing. It really happens, of course, because that's, the human mind has this ability to travel in time. So as soon as you hear you 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 contemplate the possibility of something horrific happening in the future, your mind goes to the future and, drives you nuts with fear. And you're worried about all the things and like, oh no, we have to go through this and that's going to happen and my life's going to become like this. So there's lots of fear, and it's understandable, it's a little useful, and it's also very crazy, right? So let's start with crazy. It's crazy because right now is fine. Like that's the whole thing about fear of the future is like, but right now is actually fine. And you might not even make it to that future anyway. But right now, everything's fine. But we like, we can stay up all night worrying about something in the future, be it anything, right? It could be personal, financial, health. And we stay up and we're suffering and nothing's happened. And actually, nothing has actually happened. So that's the crazy part. It's normal. Everybody does it. And it's useful because that's, the whole thing about our minds in the future that allows us to plan better and get prepared, right? So, simple example, oh, it's going to rain. Okay, so let me put on my rain clothes. Let's get an umbrella. So that it helped me to know that something unpleasant was going to happen. It was going to rain, help me prepare for it and then suffer less for it or even avoid it. Like, oh, it's going to rain. So maybe I should do something else. Maybe I shouldn't go out. So it is useful. It is necessary. So unfortunately, there is like an evil side to it, the whole worrying and and all that stuff. But it's also important. It's like, okay, what can I do about it? How can I start preparing for it? What are my options? What should I learn about? So on that part is good. So if you can, what you should try to do is separate these categories of crazy and helpful. So in that it's crazy that you're just worrying about it. There's nothing you can do. It's just like you're worrying, like you, for example, let's say I don't, I'm not saying, let's say you're doing the exam. So you've done the exams, you're waiting for the results. There's nothing you can do, right? So just don't worry about it. Just like try to, don't let your mind keep going back. Oh, what's going to be the result of the exam? It's like that's because that's the crazy part. That makes no sense, right? It's like just wait for it. Don't. There's nothing you can do about it now. So just take it easy. Bring your mind back to the here and now. Understand that you are a body anyway. Your body is going to die. Bodies are unpleasant things. Bodies, we try to enjoy our bodies as much as we can, but they're actually very unpleasant things, so they're always hurting. They're subject to enormous amounts of pain and discomfort, and they're subject to expiry. And not only that, they're subject to like, degradation. So as you get older, this is degradation. You just like your skin degrades, your hair degrades, your eyes, your ears, your taste buds, your liver, your heart, your intestines. I mean, it's really very unpleasant. It's really terrible. It's like if you're not happy with the way you look now, you should, if you look in the mirror, you're like, oh, I'm not so good looking. If you have any doubts like that, wait 10 years and you're going to be so happy with the way you look now. It's like I'm just amazed because I never, I always consider myself not very good looking. So, but now I look back and like, man, oh, so good. Compared to what I'm seeing in the mirror now, I was really doing much better. That was really good. So if you're not happy, just trust me. You're really doing well now. It's going to get much worse in the future. In 10 years, you're like, oh man, and 20. Anyway, so it's just terrible. So that's the nature of the body. And so part of our yoga process is really understanding. You have so many verses. You've seen the verses like in Uddhava Gita and those Purana stories. They really like hammer this message. And look, your body is just, just it's it's useless. It's like it's so bad and you're stuck in it, like don't expect anything good from it. Like the messages don't think it's going to be like a fun thing. It's not. It really is just, trouble. And so you're a yogi and you understand you have to really, yes, this is trouble. And now I'm working on the real solution. So of course, of all the solutions we have for all our medical problems, the best one is becoming liberated and never again getting a body. That is the best medical solution, right? You never again have a material body, never again have any disease or death or even old age. That's the real solution we want. And that is the only solution. There is no other solution. No matter how rich you are, people suffer. You just, here in the UK, everybody's like, oh, the princess, of Wales has cancer. You know, it's just terrible. I'm not belittling her suffering, like I hope she gets better, blah, blah. But, the king. So, like, you can be the king, you can be the princess, and you're still going to have cancer. And she's young. She's only 40 something. She already has cancer. So it doesn't matter how wealthy you are, how famous you are, nobody's exempt from it. Like everybody just suffers. It's just like suffering. Material body means suffering. And if you don't suffer, it means you died. You probably died young or something but you're going to suffer. So as a yogi, you contemplate just the very limited, painful nature of material existence and you kind of accept it. So you go beyond fear, you go beyond pain. You just like, this is it. And that helps a lot because what's going on, for example, with Tatiana now, it's got nothing to do with medical pain. She's in no pain whatsoever. She's not suffering anything. It's exclusively emotional pain, right? Which is another kind of pain. But that kind of emotional pain we can reduce greatly by accepting. Acceptance reduces emotional pain. When you accept any situation, divorce, bankruptcy, breakup, whatever, disease, when you accept it, then all this emotional pain goes away because a lot of the emotional pain is a resistance, like, oh no, I don't want this, I don't want this, no fear, oh. But when you accept, then you're much better off. So we just accept that even when we're fine, even when everything is great, that's the best time to do it. When everything is you're fine financially, relationship, health, everything's okay, everything's fine. And then you accept, you know what? But this, like, I'm subject to suffering at any moment because this is the nature of the place I am. I'm subject to suffering, to pain, to death at any moment in all sorts of inconceivable ways. I can suffer and experience distress. This is the nature of it. This is the world. This is being incarnated. This is the experience we've signed up for. So you just accept that place of suffering. Everybody dies. Yeah, I'll just, whatever Krishna gives me, that's what I need. That's what I deserve from my past karma. So that acceptance, it removes a lot of the emotional pain. It gives you resilience. It gives you time to go back to your center, to harmonize and say, okay, whatever it is, I'll face it. I'll take care of it. People do it. People have worse things. There's always the worst thing. That's also good meditation. Whatever you're going through, somebody's got it worse, right? There's always somebody who has it a lot worse, sometimes a lot worse, right? So it's like, oh, I'm actually quite grateful. So even if you're doing dialysis, like, well, thank God that you can do dialysis because you can afford to do that. That's amazing because there's like billions of people who don't even have any chance of getting into a hospital. What to speak of one equipped with a machine like that. So that's amazing. So you have to like go to dialysis, like, oh, thank you, Lord. This is amazing. I'm so grateful. I'm so fortunate. So we have to see the good side, be grateful, always understand that things can get worse, and accept that, like, I just have to become enlightened in this life. And all suffering is going to help me stay on point. That's the beauty of suffering. Keeps me on my toes. I won't fall asleep again. You can't fall asleep when you're in pain, right? Or somebody's like, jabbing you and distressing you. You don't fall asleep. So we don't want to fall spiritually asleep. So when we have these things, life is hard, painful, then you say, thank you, Krishna, keeping me awake, keeping me on point here, focused on my enlightenment. I have to really work on this. As Patanjali is saying, my effort determines how close success is. So by suffering, by having difficult situations, thank you. I can now really take my spiritual life seriously because I see there is no other way. So that's my answer to you, Tatiana.